Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. I'm delighted to be joined by David today from the business film booth. He's going to be sharing his story. I hope you can take inspiration from that, either to develop yourself and or your business. So welcome, David.
Thanks, James. Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Do you want to just give us a bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name's Dave. I'm from Business Film Booth, and the aim of our business has always been to help business people get on camera primarily and build familiarity and trust. And normally that's been a barrier because people have felt like they can't get on camera themselves. They tend to hire professionals in the past, and we want to break through that, create formats, create techniques that can help people quickly get there. So that's primarily what we do. So we sit between, a digital agency who might do the whole thing, including the message and everything, and keep you out of it, and you do DIY. So somewhere in the middle there, that's where Business Film Booth sits.
And I can imagine with the amount of films being used that is an absolute booming business at the moment.
It's busy, but it's also quite specialized because we can't just work with anybody. So we try to give, this is where I think there's growth. It's booming, but the aim is, because the expectations are they vary wildly. The aim is to give people the tools they need to either do it themselves or we pick up where they need. So there's a bit, there is a lot going on in that space at the moment. But it's busy and people want video, and it's just a question of finding out exactly which bits they need help from with us.
Okay, look, to give me and indeed the viewers watching a better idea of really what you're about, who would you say your perfect customer is, and what would they say about you?
A perfect customer would be either a finance company, like someone helping with wealth protection, or a legal firm, somebody who needs and understands they've got to build familiarity and trust. They often have their own captive audience. There's quite a big network they have somehow, either through a membership of some sort or existing customers. They need to show their value, and they just need to communicate really clearly. But often it's a really big company with an internal comms mission, and they really need to keep everybody together and on board. And so we can help with really complex messages, just in the delivery of them, in the tweaking of various things, just to help them get across what they would need to do, and to keep the message looking and sounding like their brand as well. Those are perfect customers.
Excellent. And I believe you've been doing what you've been doing for around 8 years. Is that right, David?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we have changed a lot in those 8 years, but over that time we developed a number of core products that just worked every time. And so we've been tweaking them and developing them over time. So the business mission has stayed the same, and the core products have sort of bedded down over that time. But 8 years. It does feel some days like it's longer than that, because you're trying to drive the car while you're building it. But after 8 years, there's a lot of things in place that feel quite sturdy.
Absolutely. You mentioned a constant mission. What's that mission?
Just to keep marketing human. It's very tempting now to use a lot of tools, more tempting even than when we started, to automate processes and things, and to just allow the machine to do your marketing for you, and it cannot. And one of the things about any type of comms that you do is, how do you make sure that you're still keeping that human connection in there, that personality, the thing in everyone's business that nobody can copy is the people. And why wouldn't you use that? Why wouldn't you make people familiar with those people and the expertise they have? That's really what I think is still vital.
What a wonderful mission. Because it is, people are going to be making their buying decisions and choosing to buy at the end of the day, even if they're using some form of AI. That's the hot topic at the moment, in the process. Yeah,
that's right. And I think a lot of the tools that are there make it seem like the tool is the story. But of course, it doesn't matter what AI tool you're using. If there's no story, you may as well just be turning up with the technique or the the nice lighting or the camera, but not having a story to tell at all with it. And that would be a real shame. So I think that's the human element. That's the bit that we can't ever just turn off or automate. It's never going to go away. And I think the sooner people realize that in their marketing, the better.
Excellent. So if you had the opportunity of rewriting your story and you could go back to kind of square one in your business, David, what might you do?
Oh my gosh. Where can I sign up? Give me the button. I'll go back immediately.
See it below.
Yeah. Look, I would interrogate the type of business that we were building earlier, because without that, there's a lot to be said for enthusiasm right at the beginning.
Yep.
And it's great to have plans to have world domination. Brilliant. Good for you. And there might be that requirement out there, but often there isn't a requirement for that level of new innovative service or product or the scale of it, right? So, and it may just be because it's not a digital business, so it can't scale quickly like that. So knowing the type of business that you have earlier, accepting that and the limitations and opportunities that are in it would have given us a lot more clarity. For instance, Daniel Priestley's 24 Assets talks about this idea of the business sizes, and there's a key in there early on is getting through the wilderness to a lifestyle business. And then there's another wilderness before you get to a performance business.
Absolutely.
Knowing, for instance, to stop at a lifestyle business, if that's what you want, is a really powerful, bit of clarity. And I think clarity beats perseverance. It beats 4 a.m. ice baths and meditation every time, because you know what you're trying to do. You can set yourself ways of achieving those things in small targets and stay sane. I think not having that clarity was harder for us. We did get that later, but it would have been easier, I think, to have persevered if we'd known that earlier on.
And what would you say to other people? Because there's a certain amount of that is a journey that people have to go through in terms of finding their way. But if you could give someone else a shortcut to that clarity, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, ask yourself if the main mission that you're on is to create something that is for other people, right? Now, you're always going to have that in your business, but if it's for other people exclusively, then you're probably after a performance business, which is quite big and influential. If you want to influence a lot of people and change a lot of things, you need a big engine for that. That's a performance business, and you're going to have to sideline all your wants and needs completely. Now, if you're after a lifestyle business, you can still do that for a small number of people, and it can be really satisfying, and you can still have a life. And I think you've got to be honest with yourself about those things, because if you're not, then you could burn yourself out trying to get to a performance business when actually what you wanted was a lifestyle business. And I think those are the clearest two parameters that I can give somebody starting out. You just got to really be honest about that. But it's hard, because when you start out, you've got that enthusiasm, you've got a real fire in your belly, and you may think that what you've got is a performance business, and that's fair enough. But I think just keep being honest with yourself about it and see how you go. And a lot of the tiredness can come from trying to pursue something that isn't satisfying. It might be more satisfying to pursue a smaller market that you can really focus on and really look after than a bigger, broader market.
What, just for clarity, Dave, what do you mean by a lifestyle business? Because for some, that means just somebody mucking around on a kitchen table.
No, a solopreneur is not a lifestyle business. Somewhere between 3 and 12 employees.
Yeah.
And they're all focused on a small market. Now, those lifestyle businesses are very often analog businesses. They're not digital, as in they're not selling a digital product only. And you need people to deliver those products or services. And if that's the case, then you all do work hard. So it's just, but within that space, within 3 to 12, you've got a type of business that can not only perform exceptional work, but they can also have a life because the lines of communication are clear, and you don't need additional systems to manage it. And I think beyond that, it really gets complex really quickly. And there's a whole lot of stuff that comes into play that's just around for managing the business rather than looking after the people that you want to serve.
Absolutely. So keeping it manageable and small is part of your focus.
It is our focus because we know that's the type of business that we are. But there's nothing wrong with a performance business. It's just that you've got to make those choices, and you can still have an impact, but you can't have a global universal impact. You can't be Elon Musk unless you're going to go for the performance type business, in which case you really do need to accept a level of sacrifice that's, it's quite high. Not everybody's up for that.
Indeed. In terms of the people that you've got on board with you, what's your biggest learnings as an employer? I don't know if everyone works for you, but in terms of those that collaborate with you on the team, what's your biggest learning?
All of the employees we have are full-time. The biggest thing is they're not invested like you are. And it's hard at first because you see all the details that they don't. And it's, of course, really important that you can't micromanage them, but it comes with first accepting that they can't possibly be as invested as you are. You own the company.
Absolutely.
It's your baby, but you are there to give them really good guardrails, really clear guidelines on what needs to be done. And so it was an eye-opener to me to work with a process coach for 6 months.
Okay.
She's absolutely brilliant. But Kirsten, who helped me with that, was able to get all of the info out of my head that was not clear, that was not accessible to the team, and turn that into a musical scorecard, as she calls it, but a way
Lovely
that they
word.
could play. Yeah, they could play the instrument, if you like. And so it gave them just enough framework for them to understand both the mission that we're on and how it relates to all the products and services that we offer, so that people that we serve are getting what they expect or what we promise. And within that, there's guidelines for them, but there's also enough room for them to use their initiative and go, actually, I've got a better idea here. I'm going to do this. And we can talk about it within that space. But yeah, they're not going to come along going, I've got this great idea. We can do this with the business and so on. Even though I do have, exceptional employees, I don't expect them for that. So if they do any of that, that's a bonus, and I want to reward them. And I encourage it. But my aim is to make sure that they feel they've got frankly, a pretty safe space to come to and to work at, and know that they're supported and they're doing something that makes sense to them. That's the most important thing that I've learned about working with employees.
Did you get to that realization quite quickly, Dave?
A lot of it's instinctive. You think you're doing the right thing, but it's not easy, because even if you think you've hired the best people, everyone's different. And so it comes with a learning curve of being humble enough. And I'm not, I'd like to think that I can listen, but I'm often listening with how do I get the outcome that I want? And that's from an employer kind of interaction. And so I had to become aware of that. Yeah. And actually part of the learning for me was with my process coach was getting the stuff out of my head and realizing they don't know the stuff. It's not intuitive. You have to tell them explicitly and be really clear. And so learning over time was really about getting the team or understanding that all the team members had different agendas. They've got different life goals. I've got an employee who's desperately keen to just try new stuff all the time. He's really excited about it. Now that's great. However, I've also got an employee who's got young children, and he just wants to get the job done. He wants to be really clear. He's like, Dave, I really need clarity on this. I need some help. It's fine. Let's go through it. Good, got it. It'll be done. But then he wants to go and he wants to spend time with his children. And so he's not going to be available for me all the time. And knowing that was really crucial. And so it's the same every time you employ someone. You've really got to find ways to spend enough time with them for them to not only trust you, but to open up and you can find out both their superpowers and you can find out their limitations, because everyone's got them. I think the biggest trap is not building enough trust to not get that information. You may be just being told what they think you want to hear. And that's a real danger.
Absolutely, you've got to break through that.
You've got to break through that.
And have you adapted your communication style?
I think I have. I would like to think that I give them all just enough space to do things and within the parameters that we've set. and if you have a problem, come to me. But I don't know if I've adapted enormously in the sense that I've always just tried to find out genuinely what they need. I've told them straight out, I am looking for a superpower. You might have something that you're really good at, and I've just been really clear about that. That is my main job as their employer, is to look out for what they're really good at and encourage them to do it. If they don't want to, that's different. But normally they find they really enjoy their superpower. So if I do anything, I'm a lot more overt now at saying that that's what I'm trying to find out from them. But otherwise, I just try to make myself available. I try to remind them that every month when we have a all hands meeting, I like to remind them that I can't know what I don't know, and for them to tell me, even if they think I don't want to hear it. That's good. And I think as much as possible, it's not all you can do. I know you could always be trying other things, but I like to give them that space and remind them that it's possible. And for the most part, I do find that is the case. So if I have anything that's changed dramatically, it's just being more overt and more clear about looking for problems to solve, processes that are annoying, and things like that we can change up. Yeah,
you've certainly been very open with me. So if that comes across with your team, then that's gonna certainly gonna benefit you.
Thanks.
Are there any misconceptions around running a business that you think you'd like to highlight?
I think this is a lesson that I learned the very hard way, is I think there's, as a founder, as an owner in particular, there's a trend for hyperactive busyness, to be seen to be doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing all the time.
Yeah.
And the reason it's a trap is, okay, this depends entirely on whether or not you're really at the beginning. If you haven't worked out your product or service yet, you haven't really worked out what your core value is, there's going to be a lot of hyperactivity, because you really are trying to drive the car while you're building it. But once that is established, I think it's very important to not fall for the hyperactive busyness trap, because you have to free your mind from a lot of that stuff to, it seems obvious, but like work on the business, I know, but actually, no, you need to allow for the boredom that comes with making yourself largely redundant. You need to make yourself redundant from the operations as much as possible. Obviously listening to your team and, mucking in when you need to, but make yourself redundant and tolerate the boredom that comes with it, because what looks like idleness from the outside is actually the hard, deep work that goes into building a community and doing the things that make the company valuable in the long term. And those are not easy things.
Absolutely. I mean, you put it in a really nice way. I love it that you almost get used to that boredom, because so many people struggle in that area.
Exactly. And then dive back into some busyness and sabotage the brain space that they have for seeing things more clearly. And it's really hard to switch from that. But I think all I could say is just encourage an entrepreneur to, if they need permission from another entrepreneur, I'm giving it to you. It's really important to make that space become, if you have to, a little bored, in order to see what your business actually is, and then go hard in creating, the assets, the community, the thing that makes your special sauce.
Yeah, when we often find that people need to do something else. It's like, well, you might need to find some new hobbies. People are bored, then they might need the next solution.
Yeah, and look, for some entrepreneurs, it might be the next business venture, and that's fine. For some, it might be a hobby. I'd like to think that there's a space for really adding value to the company by becoming the ambassador for the company, and that doing that helps build the familiarity and trust that I think all businesses need. They need someone there to be the voice for the business. Okay, look, if you're just selling widgets, then maybe it's all about the product and the features and benefits. Maybe, I don't know for sure, but I think most businesses in the SME space, at least, should have somebody there that is fronting for the company and being seen as the person to go to, whether that's a key person in sales, whether that's a founder, whether that's someone in marketing or the marketing team working with the sales team and function. but someone or a few people that should be in that space. And if the founder is the one that's setting that up and seeing that opportunity and find the people that can do that, then great, that's what they should do.
Excellent. You've given people permission. Is there a little tip? So when you're there getting bored, if that's the case, how do people cope with that?
I don't think it's coping so much as learning to find the new thing that needs to be done. And whether that's starting to write, content marketing, which I would highly, highly recommend. There is nothing better for your business in the long run than making content marketing. I mean, yeah, okay, we sell video, so of course I'm going to say that, but we say that because that's
also what true, Dave. So I'm aligned with you.
Yeah, I know, and I think most people know that is the case, but don't want to commit to it. But you don't have to commit to it endlessly. You just need to commit to it in batches. So you batch write, and keep that headspace. Find a way to start writing, and then that you can turn that into video content or blogs or anything. But the point is, write, not just about your experience, but about the things that are important to the people that you serve. Find out what they need, write about it, and then go deep on it. Go really niche and go really deep. And that takes time to get into that space. But once you get there, then you will start to find the stuff that's really valuable for your target market.
What would you say is the key to your growth over the last 8 years?
I think it's pretty niche in the sense that if we did anything right, we tapped into a need for businesses to differentiate, but they were terrified of doing it. So to some degree, our product service just happened to give permission. We didn't know we were doing this, by the way. I think we were just excited by the possibilities.
Yeah.
And it turned out that what our value was that we were giving people permission to take risks that they wouldn't have otherwise. And we created a format, a framework, if you like, within which people could do more than they thought they could do, and we could make it work. And so that was the key to it. And I think that excited people. But generally speaking, all businesses think they need to differentiate, and then they often discover that, oh, well, actually that's too risky. We don't want to do that. But the ones that really do believe in differentiating and standing out, well, those businesses were perfect for us, and they attracted a lot of attention. So I think off the back of just providing that ability for people to really differentiate, we created a bit of traction for ourselves. So I think I don't know the takeaway for that. I mean, differentiating is not for every single business. It really isn't. It's sometimes there's a Me Too thing, and that's okay because there's lots of space in that in that sector. So I'm not sure. I think, but for those that really want to differentiate, we offered the golden ticket, as it were.
Excellent. And in terms of balancing that with your personal life, what advice would you give to others?
I don't think there is a balance. I'd like to think there is. I think at the beginning, be honest with yourself. If it's going to be a real mess for a bit in your personal life, just be honest with people you love. Look, this is what I'm trying to do for the next few years. And I think that'll get you a long way, a lot of forgiveness as well. But I realized I was falling for the entrepreneurial BS when I told my wife, hey, look, I'm going to practice. I've been reading about this. I'm going to really practice active listening. And she said, oh, you mean listening? And I was like, oh, okay. I've been techniqued. I realized. So, you can't do that. You can't fake it. Now, in my case, I eventually let go of trying to do all things all the time and just went, right, look, just block Fridays out. And Fridays are a no-go zone for work. Okay. They are for content. So I do content on a Friday. I do catch up because often there's a hectic week. There's a lot of production done, and I still am at the forefront of production, but then I hand it over to a post-production team. So if there's catch up that's needed there where the team don't have enough information, I'm there and available on Friday for that. But I've also extended that to the team. So the team has, at least in the morning, unless there's a few changes or tweaks that need doing, the team just do their own learning. I mean, it's work related, but they've got the space there to learn about the software and the options so that they can, do that without the pressure of a project. So they're off project work.
Nice.
And that way we can.
Great culture.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we've gone in and out of that depending on the demands, because I've been honest. I said, look, sometimes we're just going to get too busy, but we always find that if we've done this consistently for a few months, you can just see a step change in the process, in a few little things that clients like, oh, we love what you did there, that kind of thing. And so it's definitely worth it. But for me personally, it's just if I don't block that Friday out, everything starts to feel too relentless, and you don't have that creative space to just have anything go, just do whatever. And then the afternoons on a Friday, by then it's like, right, if I'm now caught up in I've gone down some rabbit hole of some new AI thing that I'm reading up on or whatever, or some new thing in marketing, well, then that's fine. It doesn't matter because it's a Friday. That's what that space is there for. But also it means if someone in the family or something like that is like, can you, dad's around on a Friday, his headspace is there. So, and that, but just by having that, I tend to find I'm more available the rest of the week somehow as well. It spreads out when that's good, because you create that circuit breaker.
Nice. Well, you've said some great tips. I'm sure others can learn from. If you look forward now? What's the next significant step for you?
I think the next thing is, it's been about a year since we really got to grips with our process and all the back end, and it's like the thing that I never thought I was capable of doing, because I'm not a details person. I'm the creative show pony. And so it's been really satisfying to do something that I didn't think I could do, and also that I just didn't value enough. But now that it's there's the capacity in the business to take on more. So I feel like the next step for us is to really help target. I know that I need to target the right people so that they're seeing what we do. And it's just a question of just kind of putting our hands up in the right place now in our marketing and just going, look, we're here. And that's always an ongoing process, and get more regular clients, because we've got a handful of really core clients that work with us month in, month out, and I just want more of them because we work best that way. And so if I can just find the right people that I know I can help, and I say so, if we can't help, I'm going to say so pretty quick. Or it might be that, look, here's the bit of us that we do that we can help with. I really want to find those another batch of clients like the ones we've got, where it's just they understand exactly what we do. They're back month after month, and we just get to know exactly what they're like, and we can surprise them. That's what I want to do over the next 12 months.
How about for you as a leader and a founder? You've gone through a journey where you dropped things and changed your role a bit. Are you planning any more changes?
There's always changes in there. It's hard to avoid, but at the moment, I feel like we've got the offering that is right. And so now I've just, the change really will just be in the back end and how many people we need to support that, really. And so I'm a bit of a sprinter, so I'll sprint